Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel where I dive deep into influencer culture and call influencers out for their crappy behaviors. Today we're going to be talking about a nurse who I don't think she went super viral for this, but she made it onto cringe TikToks on Reddit. I can see both sides of the coin and I want to know what you guys think. And I really think that this is opening up a deeper conversation behind the ethics of nurses who are also content creators. We got a lot to talk about, so let's go, guys. All right, so as I said, I was scrolling Reddit and this popped across my feed, and at first I had that ick feeling, but then I also was, doom scrolling through the comments. And I can see both sides of the coin. So first things first, let's take a look at what she has to say. I can't hear anything. Helps if it's not muted. All right, let's again take a look at what she has to say.
Unpopular opinion, but I hate working in the NICU. I hate it. I hate it. Like, why are you crying? You're fed, you're dry, you're wrapped, you're warm, you're tiny. Why are you crying? I can't get you to stop crying. My motherly instincts aren't kicking in because you're not my baby. I'm a pediatric nurse, not a fresh fetus nurse. It's terrible.
That is the video. Now, can we first address the elephant in the room? Why are you filming this while you're driving? She started it while she was already driving and stopped it while she was driving. Like, can we just not? This should be illegal. This should be considered distracted driving, okay? I just want to make that clear and get that out of the way right off the hop. That's what some people were saying. Like, I'm not so concerned about what she was saying versus, the fact that she was filming this TikTok and driving. Hello? Clearly critical thinking skills are lacking. Now, I have a lot of opinions on this. So, are you okay? Are you good? Apparently, Mickey has a lot of opinions too. You a couple boys? I love this guy so much. You guys can't even see his pretty face. You went too far back, Mick. Okay, pause for kisses. All right, so first things first. I am a trained maternity nurse. That's where I started my career. And obviously, I'm out of practice now. I took time off. Whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter. We don't need to get into it. But that's where I started my career. And that's my vibe. I loved being a maternity nurse, and if I ever go back to nursing, that is 100% where I will strive to be, because I find it so incredible to help new parents and really give them the confidence that they need in bringing these tiny humans home. Now, I am also a NICU mom. My daughter was born at 26 weeks. She spent 10 weeks in the NICU, and we saw a lot of nurses. We were in 2 different hospitals because she got kicked out of the higher risk hospital because she was too healthy, and we had to go to the other hospital. So I have a lot of opinions on this. Now, as a maternity nurse, oftentimes our floors weren't necessarily super busy and we were full staffed. So what happens? You walk on shift and you get floated to another unit. I will be there with this nurse being floated to a different unit. She said she's a pediatric nurse, which is super different from being a NICU nurse. NICU nurses are highly specialized, and so are pediatric nurses, to be very honest. My maternity floor was both maternity, postpartum, and pediatrics. So I know peds nurses and their passion towards that, and NICU nurses and their passion towards that. I see both sides of the coin. Now what? Let me think. Okay, so let's start with being floated to a different unit. Now, I remember walking onto my shift and being floated because I was lowest seniority, and oh my gosh, it is so effing stressful to be floated to a unit that is not your specialty, especially since right out of school as a baby nurse, I was on a highly specialized unit. And there's pros and cons to that. Yeah, I found my passion, I found my love and the patient demographic that I loved working with, but I also didn't get to practice a lot of my hard skills like you would on a medical unit, for example. So when I walk in and it's like, you're going to the med unit, it's like, I've never worked on a med unit. I didn't have a rotation in nursing school on a med unit. What do you mean I'm going to a med unit? What do I have to do? They have like 75 meds and there's all these different things and I don't know anything. So I get it. I get it, especially being floated to a highly specialized unit like the NICU, which I also got floated to, but like me, I was all for it. I loved it. Still had minor panic attacks because I'm like, what do you mean I gotta go to the NICU? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's scary. But I think I had twins or whatever, and it's just like, feed them. It was an overnight. It wasn't that big of a deal. So being floated as a nurse is really stressful. So I can be there for that. When she says that she doesn't like working in the NICU, she might not have had a choice. Now, there are people who are saying this woman is a travel nurse, which if she's a travel nurse, she has a choice. So why would you pick up a shift in the NICU if you didn't have to, if you hate it? It just doesn't make sense to me, you know? But the big thing for me is that it is totally valid to bitch and complain about your job, especially as nurses. They're one of the most underpaid, well, RN versus RPN, like it's a whole thing with the conversation that we can have another day versus pay scale and workload and all the things. But they are such an underappreciated profession who get shat on constantly by patients, by doctors. There is so much, and the stakes are so high as a nurse. There's a lot of pressure on nurses. And to get floated to a unit that you don't know, that you're not comfortable with, it's stressful. I'm not saying that she doesn't have the right to feel these feelings, but to film it and post it to social media and make insensitive comments like fresh fetus nurse and stuff like that, that's where I think we need to draw the line. That's where it goes from, complaining about your job or having a bad day to being completely unethical in what you're posting. I went through nursing school recently. I remember being told you need to be super strict about what you post on the internet because it will come back to bite you in the ass. You are representing your profession. You're representing your hospital. You can't go posting stuff that's gonna give the hospital or the profession a bad name. You have to be super strict. Lock down your social medias. Don't be stupid. Don't post about patients. Don't post about work. It's something that was drilled into our brain repeatedly throughout my nursing schooling. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, well, why are we posting this to the internet when you're being so disparaging towards an extremely vulnerable population, right? That's where I'm kind of sitting with this. But I understand all the stresses that come with it, all of the everything that comes with this level of frustration. I have seen NICU babies who've been born to addicts. They have an extremely high pitch, like gut-wrenching, ear-curdling, is that the right saying? I don't think that's the right saying, but it's fine. Scream. It is different from a regular baby's cry. It's very unique, to say the least, and absolutely freaking gut-wrenching, the shit that you see. And it can be exhausting and triggering. We're only human. Listening to those types of high-pitched screams for hours upon hours on end gets triggering. I understand that, and I can be there with that. But to go and be so upset and just whatever, and reactionary post to TikTok like this, that's where I don't think it's okay. This is something that you go home or go to your best friend's house or your coworkers after in the lounge and you bitch to them about this kind of stuff. You don't post it to social media, because as a NICU mom, if I were to see this, if I were to scroll across this and come across this on my feed, I would be pretty hurt and I would be concerned about my child's well-being, because this nurse is so annoyed and frustrated at working with babies. And it's not to say that that doesn't happen, but you need to protect parents from this kind of behavior, from these kinds of feelings, and you also need to protect the patients. Babies feel vibes. They feel this frustration. That's probably why they weren't stopping crying despite their basic needs being met. And they're NICU babies. They are in a place that they're not supposed to be in, first of all. Second of all, they're without their parents for 97% of the time because, especially in the United States, women don't get any time off postpartum. You get what? Max 6 weeks? How much time do you guys get off? We get 18 months. I got to go to the hospital every single day until my daughter was discharged and spend the whole day with her without having to worry about going back to work. I was very, very blessed in that sense. Not all parents are, though, especially when you go on 5, 6, 7 months in the NICU and you're looking at getting fired. How are you going to pay for the NICU if you don't have your insurance benefits from work? Right? So these babies are alone in a strange environment, growing and doing all these bodily functions that they're not supposed to be doing yet. They're not supposed to be breathing yet. They're not supposed to be digesting food yet. They're not supposed to be outside their mom's belly yet, for the most part, depending on what level of NICU it is. It might not be micro, preemie NICU, right? But for the most part, that's what it is. So just having your basic needs met, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes there's more to it, especially if there's any type of addiction that this baby was born from. That could be a very big reason why the kid couldn't stop screaming, right? So if we go and look at some of the Reddit comments here, the post says, maybe don't work with babies then. Babies obviously want to be held and need closeness they no longer have being in an incubator. Be aware of nurses like this. So this has 1.1K comments on it. And like I said, the community is very divided in how they feel about this nurse. There's a lot of nurses coming to bat for this woman, being like, what, we're not allowed to complain about our job? Like, what are you talking about? And no, nobody is saying that. But posting this kind of energy to social media, especially talking about NICU babies, come on, give your head a shake. It's just classless. It's insensitive. It's tacky and gross to do this. And that doesn't mean that her feelings and her frustrations aren't valid, but to post it on social media, seeking this attention, seeking this validation, that's where the problem is. If she doesn't like crying babies, why the F is she a pediatric nurse? Find another job. There's a difference between a pediatric nurse and a neonatal nurse. She most likely is wearing a hat to fill a need in her facility. Exactly, that's what I touched on, which is fair, which is valid. But I also read throughout this that she's a travel nurse. And if she's a travel nurse, then no, she didn't need to pick up this shift in the NICU. Thank you. This is what I commented too. My friend, who is a NICU nurse, hated doing the urology department. She had to be a nurse urologist for like 4 months to fill a vacancy and hated every minute of it. See, she didn't have to do that. She signed up to do that. That's a short-term contract that she would have signed up for. You wouldn't be floated to another unit to, like, or maybe you would. Maybe it's different in the States, but here we would have to apply for that position as a temporary position and get the position, so that doesn't really make sense to me. I don't feel like she had to do it for 4 months, but okay. She would take screaming babies over seniors yelling at her about their pee any day of the week. She also disliked peds even though she loved the NICU. Whereas my other friend, who is also a nurse, works as a trauma nurse in the ER and rather do that than be in peds, where she spent 2 years in that department until they could switch her to trauma. She hated every minute of it because kids don't make easy patients. Her words, not mine. Every nurse is different and not every nurse is made for a certain specialty. Not every nurse can excel in patient care while doing specialties they genuinely aren't interested in. And I don't know. I don't know. As a nurse, you sign up to care for patients. So it doesn't make sense to me why she would take a job in the pediatric department, hating it, take that position, sign that contract, waiting for the trauma, whatever, like go to a medical unit. Go to somewhere else, because it takes a different kind of human to be a pediatric nurse, to be a NICU nurse, right? That is highly specialized and it's really intense. And like she said, kids don't make easy patients, and more often than not, they really don't, but they're in pain. They're in the hospital for a reason. It's not just like a vacation at a hotel. No, it's scary. They're away from mom and dad. They're in pain. They're sick. It's not an easy job at all. And it takes a special kind of human to do it. So why would you sign up for a job to do that if you hated it? Because that's going to make your day-to-day so much worse. And it's going to, like, the kids are going to pick up on that vibe. They're going to pick up on the fact that you hate being there, that you hate taking care of them, and they're going to make your life hell. But I agree. I would take NICU or pediatric over urology any day of the week and being yelled at by old people about their pee. Yes, same. Same. Yeah, normalize just screaming out your frustration in the car without posting it online. I don't get people who post every little thing on TikTok. It mystifies me. I barely think my own thoughts are worth sharing with my loved ones, much less the entire world. And again, that's where I think the line is drawn. I truly think that her feelings are valid. Her frustrations are valid. It's not her specialty. It's not her unit. But posting it on TikTok for attention, for virality, for whatever reason, maybe it was just to be relatable. I don't know, kind of fell short in my opinion. But I think that posting it on TikTok is where the plot was lost. So here is a really good take. Sounds like someone venting after a hard day at work, albeit very stupidly. Some extra nurse context. She says she's a pediatric nurse, not a fresh fetus nurse, NICU nurse. Pediatric nurse does not automatically mean you are a NICU neonatal nurse. NICU nursing is a very specific subspecialty of pediatric that requires tons of extra training. When units are short-staffed, though, people are floated there regardless. Floating is basically being like a substitute teacher. You're filling in for someone that probably called out sick. Sounds like she floated to a NICU unit that day. As mentioned above, she probably knows nothing about the NICU. NICU babies can literally scream very loudly all day. Literally. I've seen and heard it myself. 12 hours straight. Wild how many comments I had to scroll past to get this take. She didn't wish pain or hate on the babies. She's just frustrated. Everyone is so quick to get people fired. And yeah, they are. But you're going to post it to TikTok and in hopes of going viral. Not everyone's going to like your take. And a lot of people think it was insensitive and tasteless to post this a little bit further than just venting about your frustrations because of some of the insensitive comments that she made. Now, do I think she deserves to get fired for this? No, absolutely not. That'd be a little bit silly. And with the nursing crisis going on right now, no. But should she have taken this to TikTok? I don't think so. I think it's one of those things where you have to actually have kids and see how hard they work, especially in the NICU. Got to be one of the hardest jobs there is, and she absolutely is allowed to de-stress on TikTok. IDK, man, people manage to vent about their life without blasting it out to the world. Do it on your private page to friends, family, coworkers. She shouldn't be doxxed or even fired, but she should be educated on what you should and shouldn't make public. I once had a doctor kind of laugh and joke to me about how a patient wanted to pray with him before open heart surgery. To the doc, it's another day on the job. To the patient, it's his entire life. It would have been super gross for the doctor to post about that to the entire world. Behind closed doors in a hospital, it was more appropriate. To the doc, it was like someone praying with you before pumping their gas. It's his job day in and day out. And that's just it. While I agree that there's again, I've said it all throughout this video, her feelings are valid, her frustrations are valid, but time and place. Posting on TikTok isn't the way to express these feelings. It's inappropriate and it's really unprofessional. But what do you guys think? What side of the coin are you on? Do you think this is no big deal? Whatever, she didn't, reveal any patient information, so whatever? Or do you think this is crossing a line of what nurses should be allowed to post? And again, I think this is opening up a bigger conversation. Oh, I have Mickey fur all over my face. I think this is opening up a bigger conversation about what nurses should post, if it's good content, or if the day in the life nursing kind of crosses that boundary. a little bit. So please share your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you head out. It really helps out the channel. I truly appreciate it at the end of the day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.